sometimes I may feel like I'm in the back burner, but
Right.
it's not really that. It's we're evolving as humans, which is what you're supposed to do.
Right.
So yeah, you're marrying the unknown, and you know, again, like, how do men deal with that? How do women deal with that? So
Right.
it's never a thing where it's just a one script, one blueprint. You're
Right.
continuously trying to figure things out, communication, and I want to have real conversations about how people deal with these things.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we back in the building inside the mind. I'm your host, John Reese, and I have a plot twist for you guys today. Well, tonight. Shit, it's almost 9 o'clock here, Cali. I decided to cross over to the NPC world, but don't trip. She'll be pro real soon. I'm calling it. So she's been competing for 5 years, 6 shows as an amateur. She recently just got an overall win in novice. She's only done one national show, but she is going to Texas this year, and that is where she will turn pro, which is one of her goals. And another one is to hopefully make it to the Olympia, and I believe she could do it. She's very determined, passionate about the sport, and just has a relentless attitude about her work ethic. None other than Haylee Fernandez in the building.
What is up?
How you doing, man? How you doing?
Good. Excited to do this.
Yeah, man. I know when I thought of this idea, you were the first person I had in mind. Of course, if anyone's following, they notice I've been interviewing a lot of pros just to kind of, you know, tackle the mental aspect of the sport, but it stems a little bit deeper than that, and we all start at the bottom no matter where we get our start at in the sport. And I have the luxury of seeing you work day in and day out, so I was like, man, it'd be dope, you know, to get Haylee on. So welcome.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Happy to do it.
Absolutely. So as a mental check, seeing as if you just are fresh off the stage from, you know, winning that overall, how are you doing mentally getting ready to transition into this nationals prep?
I mean, I'm excited. Last week was first week post show. It was a little rough. I always have a hard time with my reverse, but I was honest with my coach about it, told him where I messed up, and set a game plan, and now it's just full speed ahead. So I'm excited. I'm really ready for this prep. So it's different. It's personal this time. So
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Personal, huh? So two-part question. We'll start with the reverse though. Why do you feel, and you can attest to this or speak for not just yourself but for everyone, because a lot of people have problems coming out of a show and not eating with their eyes, is what I call it. So why do you feel that is such a struggle for, you know, not just you but for everyone?
for me, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like me personally, I have the worst sweet tooth. You know, we're on the same level with that. So
Mhm.
for me, I'm a foodie, and I feel like restricting myself for as long as I do, being in prep, and then kind of like getting out of prep, and then it just kind of feels like it's a whole new world. You know, like I have all this freedom and I have all this food that's been restricted for so long that I just am like, oh, I need to try this and I need to try this. And one thing that I've noticed, especially this past show, is if it's around me, then I'm way more tempted to eat it. If I don't have it around me, then I'm not going to eat it. So I was actually just telling Adam, my boyfriend, about it. And I was telling him that I can't be having people bringing me treats post show. I can't be stocking up on treats because if it's
Mhm.
there, I'm going to eat it. Like 2 years ago, post show, I put on 40 pounds because I had about
Ooh.
40, I'm not even kidding, like 40 cookies in the freezer ready to go.
Wow.
And I couldn't stop myself. I knew what I was doing and I couldn't stop it. So
Ooh, we are definitely on the same level.
yeah, it's
It,
rough.
it's funny because this is my first off season where I did not boatload my second fridge in my garage with cookies. Like, and it's funny because I still have all of them on my Instagram and I'll scroll, but now I do this thing like if I see it, immediately click unless it's West Coast Confections and then my
Oh,
peoples.
yeah.
I gotta,
Always
but
West Coast.
but it is crazy because I feel more, I guess, empowered by the action of not doing it, even though it's
Mhm.
still tempting. But you're right. If it's not around me, then it's not reachable. It's not obtainable. I can't just, go grab it. So,
Yeah.
more power to you for, fighting off that urge. Cause I know you said 40. I think I've gained about that after one of my preps. So,
It was rough. I
yeah.
actually just, found the old check-in pictures from around that time. I saw him last
Ooh.
night, actually, and I was like, "Oh my god, that was me." Like,
You kept that?
yeah,
Ugh.
it was bad. I was like, I didn't even recognize myself because I was like, "That's not me." Like, I should never look like that. I'm a bodybuilder. I should never allow myself to get to that point. But getting to that point, I
Man.
feel like it was necessary for me to know that I never wanna go back to where I was. So,
Okay. So the term pro, like that's what I'm learning now, like how to actually think and behave like a pro, train like a pro, and you seem to pretty much be on that path. Like I said, hopefully in December that happens for you. But you said this was personal. What makes this so personal for you?
I've had a lot of ups and downs within my bodybuilding career. I've been doing it, like you said, 5 years, and I just feel like just now this year, I'm finally hitting my potential where I'm starting to see everything kind of show through. Just a couple months ago, actually, though, I was just telling Adam the words, I don't think that this is meant for me, actually came out of my mouth.
Mm,
And I was down all the time, constantly doubting myself and whether or not I should be doing this. And it was hard because deep down, I know I love this and I can't picture myself doing anything else. But it was a constant struggle because it's like, am I really meant for this? I see all these
mm,
girls that are a year in and they're winning overalls and they're getting shredded. And I'm like, why not me? Like, why can't I get to that point? Is it just my body? Like, do my genetics suck? Like, am I not working hard enough? So it's been hard. And I think, I mean, this past April, I switched coaches, and my previous coach, nothing but love for him. We're still on great terms, and
mhm,
he got me to where I am today. I will never, ever disregard that or not credit him for that. It's not like I just switched coaches and I magically turned into who I am today. Like he got me to this point. But I think for certain people, I mean, you just reach a point with people where it's just like, your time with them is just kind of up. You've done all that you can do, and it's time to just kind of move on and get uncomfortable again and get a different perspective. And that's exactly what I needed. So in April, I switched coaches and kind of just everything changed, different protocols, a little bit more food, less cardio, a little bit more rest, and just everything was just different. And I actually felt like I had protocols of a bodybuilder, and I felt like I was
okay,
doing the things that were going to get me to that pro level. I'm acting like a pro. I'm not just saying I want to be a pro. I'm acting like a pro. And I just feel like, I mean, especially that there's pressure on social media, and I've built this following over the past 5 years. Because when I started out doing this, a lot of people from around here, they didn't bodybuilding wasn't as popular as it is now. I feel like it's a
mhm,
huge thing now, and I feel like a lot of people around here have been following me since the beginning, and I feel like I just kind of went stagnant, and I wasn't making any progress, and I just feel like I've also put pressure on myself, like I should be pro already, I should be winning overalls, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, and I just haven't gotten to that point yet. And this past show, I feel like it was definitely a confidence boost for me. I went in wanting to win the overall, didn't end up winning the overall, but I mean, all that aside, I mean, I couldn't have asked for it to go better. And I mean, winning the novice overall, that was my first time ever getting first at a show. That was my sixth show, and that was my first time ever getting first, and
mhm.
it was an unreal feeling hearing them call me first place Haley Fernandez. It was awesome.
That's what's up.
So
Yeah.
it got me hyped for this national show for sure. I just feel like it's my time, and I know in my heart that I put the work in and I do everything that I should be doing, and I'm genuinely acting like a pro. The things that I'm doing are going to get me to that pro level. It's just a matter of time for me. So,
I hear you. I hear you. Look, speaking into existence, because you're definitely doing the work. Again, like I get to witness the work. I know I can be very loud in the morning sometimes in the gym.
yeah, 7 in the morning screaming in my ear,
Hey,
hyping me up.
look, I got to, man. I mean, everyone else in there is quiet, but again, like I try to, put energy, especially like when you're in those last like couple weeks. Any way I can try to, provide a spark and energy, I try to do that because those days are hard. You're trying to count them down faster than what they actually are going. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, it's only 7 in the morning. I still got all day. I still got to do this. So, like, anywhere I can try to provide any type of energy, I'll do that. And not to say that you may not need it, but it's just one of those things where, like, that's just, I try to help at any means. But it's a good thing to take it personal. But you mentioned, social media and having this following. To have a big following, it seems like there's a responsibility with that.
Mhm.
Um, why do you feel there is pressure with that when it comes to social media?
I don't know, I just feel like so for me, when I post on Instagram, I'm not being anybody else. I'm being 100% authentically me,
Mhm,
and I have people more and more coming up to me, like, when I go to commercial gyms,
mhm,
coming up to me and introducing themselves, saying they follow me on social media and that I'm an inspiration to them, and it's so wild to me because I don't see that in me, I see me being me, and when I post on social media, it's just me posting because I feel like posting, and it's awesome. I want to inspire people, so it's awesome that people are coming up to me and telling me that I'm inspiring them. But then when I sit back and think about it, it does feel like a lot of pressure because I don't want to let anybody down,
mm,
and but going back to when I was telling Adam that I didn't think that bodybuilding was for me, then I'm like, okay, well, what am I supposed to do? Like I have all of these people that look up to me, and then I'm just gonna quit, So it's like I have that in the back of my mind. Like I can't just quit, I'm not where I want to be, where I've always said I'm going to be. So
mm,
I can't stop. I have all of these people looking up to me, and they've been following my journey for however many years. And for me to just quit, it would just kind of be hypocritical, because I'm always on social media preaching that you're not going to get to where you want to be if you quit, and I'm always saying don't be a wimp,
yeah.
go be buff. So it's like I can't just back out of that when things get hard, So but like I said, it's weird. I just post because I enjoy sharing my life with people.
Mhm.
And I don't think anything of it, but it's weird to actually sit back and think that people are actually watching what I'm doing and they're genuinely interested and inspired by me just being me. So,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it definitely can be pressure. Of course, I don't have the following you have, but I look at it like kind of two ways in a sense where it's just like, all right, yeah, you have those who are watching your every move. And, part of that inspiration is just the work you're doing, like where you started and where you're at now.
mhm,
It doesn't necessarily have to do with accolades, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
you're and the whole point of this podcast is to let people know like, hey, Haley is human at the end of the day. She's allowed to, have doubt. She's allowed to, feel down sometimes. And sometimes all those people who are following you, they could be the ones to kind of pick you up. They could be
mhm,
the inspiration for you. It doesn't always have to be the other way around.
yeah,
So, and that's what I want people to kind of get out of this is to understand like, yeah, you have a great physique. Yeah, you compete. Yeah, you're going to go pro. It's just a matter of time. That doesn't negate the fact that you have moments where, hey, I just want to be a normal person today.
Yeah.
Like I want to feel whatever it is that I'm feeling, and I need to work my way through it, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't get too hard on yourself. Like I know it is pressure, but do not get too hard on yourself. But your first overall though, like
Mhm.
how explain the feelings you had when your name got called.
To be honest, there was a split second where I almost cried. It was just kind of
Hey.
like, I mean, it was a small show, so there weren't very many people to compete against. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, this doesn't count, you know. And Adam keeps getting mad, and he's like, Haley, it counts. But in my mind, I'm like, no, like I want to be the best of the best, you know. And I don't know, I just feel like yourself, you're always going to want more for yourself. You know, you're never going to be satisfied with what
Uh,
you have, and that's something that I'm trying to kind of navigate. I feel like I don't really give myself enough credit at times, and I was just telling Adam today. I actually told him that I was proud of myself for once because I just the last couple days I've been switching up my training style and really focusing on training like a pro. That's just that always runs through my mind, you know, like I'm not
mhm.
gonna get the muscle development that I need just rushing through my reps and my sets and sloppy form, you know, and my training style has improved a lot within the last probably I'd say probably about like a year and a half. Um, and today I just had a moment of just gratitude where I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm training like a pro, and I feel like if I were to turn pro, I deserve to say that I'm a pro, you know? So going back to winning that overall, I mean, when I was doing cardio leading up, you would see me every morning doing cardio, and
Mhm.
there'd be times where I'm doing cardio and I'm envisioning in my head hearing the overall, and I would actually start to tear up and cry doing cardio because that was just the thing that was just pushing me, you know, constantly reminding
Wow.
myself that that's what I'm working towards, you know, just to hear those words. And it may not make sense to some people, but when you do something from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to sleep day in, day out, and to
Mhm.
hear that hard work pay off and be recognized, it's an incredible feeling. So when I got called for that on stage, there was a split second where I almost cried, but then I was like, "Oh wait, that they're calling me."
Yes,
Um,
they are.
so it was a really cool moment. So
Look, and to keep it simple, that's exactly what you vision. And
yeah,
sometimes that's all it takes. Like you have to have the vision. Of course, it has to match, the work ethic, of course, which you're never going to be short of that, as we could see. So it's just one of those things like, all right, it's one or the other. Either you're doubting yourself or you have the vision to kind of keep going. So, and it's okay to have the doubts, like I said, but to have that vision and to actually have it come true, like that has to be like just so dope. Because again, like before 2021, when I did the LA championships, I kept visioning my name, getting called for the overall because I wanted, the sword being greedy.
mhm,
But the visions were a little bit tainted because I kept saying, like, I'm about to go in and kill everybody. I came
mhm,
in with more of an ego rather than the vision. So then I got humbled at that show.
mhm,
So then going into the next 5 days, it was more like, look, I just want my name called. I need to do whatever it takes. I just want my name called.
yeah,
I don't care who shows up. I just need to work and focus on me. And then, that's when it happens. So sometimes you just have to picture it. That's it.
yeah, yeah. Gets you
So,
through.
man. So my question to you is, what does it take to be a pro? On the mental side though, we're not talking reps, we're not talking sets. Like what does it take to be a pro on the mental side in your perspective?
It's a good question. I feel like being pro takes a lot of heart. I mean, everybody can say that they want to turn pro, but obviously not everybody turns pro.
Mhm.
It's very easy to say, "Oh, I'm going to turn pro," but it's like, are you putting in the work? Are you doing what a pro would be doing? So for me, I don't know. I mean, just I don't know. It's just it's something else, you know. It's all I've pictured since the minute I started bodybuilding. Like I said earlier, I can't picture myself doing anything else. So I mean, the mindset of being a pro is just putting in that work day in, day out, and with heart, you know, doing everything that you need to do to get you to where you want to be. And that's something I don't take it lightly. When somebody turns pro, it's just recognition of all of their hard work that got
Mhm.
them to that point. You know, it's not just a little title. It's not easy to turn pro, and I feel like a lot of people think that it's easy. And when I first started bodybuilding, I didn't really have any idea what I was really getting myself into. And then I think just like everybody, the deeper you get into it, the more you understand it and the more you can appreciate it.
Mhm.
And it's what everybody says, it's a marathon. You know, it's not a race, it's a marathon. And it takes time and years, and I'm just now learning that and I'm figuring that out. Um, so yeah, I mean, every day, just waking up day in, day out, doing what needs to be done, my supplements, my cardio, my training, um, making sure that mentally I'm all there.
Mhm.
Mental is something that I struggle with as well, depression, anxiety. So making sure that that's in check, because if that's not in check, then everything else is just gonna go to shit, you know? Like
Yeah,
last year,
that's true.
yeah, last year my mental was it was really, really bad. I had thoughts of just like, I don't want to be here anymore. Why am I doing this? Like,
Mhm.
it was just kind of like I wake up and it's just like, all right, I can't wait to go back to sleep. You know, I have to get through another day. And with that, it showed in my physique. My body wasn't responding. I was just miserable all the time. And I kind of had to hit a point where I was just like, I'm tired of feeling this way, you know, and
Mhm.
I'm not going to get to where I want to be if I can't get this in check. I can keep trying and trying and trying, but it's not going to go anywhere if mentally I'm not there, you know? So I guess, I don't know, being a pro is just, it's like you said, it's so much more than just physical, it's mental. You have to walk around and own that and act like a pro. It's so easy to say, I'm going to be a pro, but are you doing the things to act like a pro? Are you carrying yourself like a pro? And that's something that I kind of been trying to lean more on is acting like a pro rather than saying, "Oh, I want to be pro." Easy to say that, but are you doing the things that are going to get you to that pro level, you know? And then are you carrying those things out day in and day out, you know? So
Right.
that's where I'm at mentally with it.
I know it's funny because I think up until this year, I acted more like a pro as an amateur.
Mhm.
So, like, I turned pro and then immediately was like, "Oh, I'm good. I
Yeah, I
know I
could
need."
see that.
Like like, you take your foot off the gas. Well,
Yeah.
I'll speak for myself. I took my foot off the gas. I know I was still training, like, very hard
Mhm.
because now it's like, "Oh, crap. All these people, like, I idolize, I gotta stand next to them now."
Yeah.
So but I still was laxed. Like, it
Mhm.
was just like, "Oh, I made it." Knowing damn well I didn't do nothing. I realize that now. Like, I accomplished a very big goal, but then you get pushed back to the bottom, and then it's back, and it's the number one denominator in all this is the work. No matter
Mhm.
amateur, pro, Olympian, whatever, it's the work. Celebrate your victories, learn in your losses. Either way, you still have to work. And that was the one thing, like, I literally forgot. It was just like, I got comfortable. Like, I did it.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
like, so that would be my advice to you, which I highly doubt you do that, especially under, the tutelage you're under now. Yeah, just focus on the work.
Yeah.
Celebrate when you do go pro for sure, but just keep your mind focused on the work, and keep your goals in mind, which is to make it to the Olympia. I do want to touch on something you talked about,
Mhm.
depression and anxiety.
Mhm.
Um, if you could, like, what tools or interventions or whatever it is that you use to kind of get yourself out of that? Like, if you could talk to the people a little bit to help them out.
Yeah, so depression and anxiety, I feel like anxiety kind of set in a little bit more in my adult life. Depression, I feel like I've dealt with probably looking back on it since middle school on and off. And then probably towards 18, 19, it got really bad. And it's something that I've always struggled with. It's always been up and down, and
Mhm.
um, since meeting actually Adam as well, he's actually helped me kind of cope and figure out ways to get through it and to deal with it, and one of the biggest things that I feel like, especially within the last couple months, honestly, coming up on a year, last October, I feel like I hit a point where I remember I was texting Adam and I was just flooding him and I was just negative after negative after negative, and just constantly beating myself up and talking down on myself and just saying that I couldn't do this anymore. I'm tired of feeling this way. And he kind of had to give me some tough love and just be like, you need to stop. Be like, something needs to change. I can't do this anymore because you're bringing me down. And hearing him say that, it just kind of like flipped a switch because I'm like, you know what?
Mhm.
Like, he's right. Like, it's not fair that he's trying to encourage me and build me up. And every time he's trying to build me up, I'm just knocking myself back down. How am I ever going to dig myself out of this hole that I've dug myself into if I'm constantly just digging it deeper and deeper and deeper and I'm not trying to find ways to get out of it? So after that conversation with him, I kind of just feel like I had to talk with myself and I was like, I'm going to make more of an effort to try and get through this, and that's not to say that every day it's sunshine and rainbows and depression and
Right.
anxiety is magically gone, but I will say it's easy to fall into it. I had a therapist one time, and it sounds weird to say. I was kind of embarrassed to tell her, but she kind of took the words out of my mouth before I could even say it. She told me that it was easy to get comfortable in the sadness and just sit in it. And that's exactly how I
Mm.
was feeling, was that I didn't wanna put in the work to get myself out of it. It was just easier to
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
sit in that sadness and just be like, "Well, I'm sad. My life sucks. I don't see any meaning anymore," and just kind of look at the negative of everything, instead of trying to see the positive, I was just wallowing in that self-pity. Um, and my therapist had to tell me that that's normal. It's easier to be comfortable. It's just like anything in life. You're not going to grow where you're comfortable. You got to get uncomfortable. So you got to put the work in to get
Man.
uncomfortable. So, I mean, you can apply that in all aspects of life, but I feel like
Mhm.
that really resonated with me when it comes to depression and anxiety because I hit a point where I was just tired. I was tired of being sad and not looking forward to anything and beating myself up. So, yeah, within this last year, I've tried to make a better effort of seeing the positive of things.
Mhm.
When I feel like I wake up and I'm like, man, I don't look forward to today. I try and snap myself out of that headspace. I try and keep myself busy, even if it's just doing the smallest of things, just going out for a drive or going to get Starbucks or something, trying to find ways to make myself happy, keep my mind occupied so I don't just sit there and think. I'm a huge overthinker. I have I, s- I have a lot of struggles with anxiety. I'd say right now it's more so anxiety than depression.
Okay.
So some things that I've found that work for me is kind of my notes app on my phone, all lists. It's just list after list after list because I feel like if I write things down, it's not constantly in my head.
That's
So
good.
yeah, so and then sounds funny, but like I'll do like the little check mark. And it could be something as simple as writing down shower, I'll check it off because that's one thing that I got done and that helps ease my mind. So it sounds excessive, but sometimes my anxiety gets to that point where I just
Hey,
can't go
it's
well
not
so
excessive if
long.
it works for you. I'll
Yeah.
tell you that.
So so yeah, so I feel like a turning point for me was just realizing that I was tired. I was tired of living my life the way that I was. And it wasn't fair to the people around me that are trying to help build me up, and I'm just constantly putting myself down. It's not fair to them and it's exhausting. I've been in that situation where you're trying to help somebody and you want to help them and see them succeed so bad, but you can only do so much. They have to want to
Right.
put in the work as well. So I kind of had to be honest with myself and realize that it's not fair to those around me who love me and are trying to help me, and I'm not doing anything to help myself. So I had to be honest and have a real conversation with myself, and it's hard. There's days where I don't feel like looking on the bright side. I don't feel like doing anything, but I can't let myself fall into that. I have too many things and goals that I have to achieve and people that I want to take care of to just quit and to stop and let it take over, So, I mean, some days it gets you, but you're human. You have to take a rest. You have to allow yourself to kind of like sit in it. And I'm a big believer in that. I feel like if you need to rest, let yourself feel what you're feeling, and then get yourself right back out of it. Allow yourself like a day if you need to, but you can't sit in it. You have to keep going. So,
You speaking to my soul today, 'cause today, ooh, like, it started early too. I was just hearing some stuff from work, and it irritated my soul, and I just went into this quick, it started with anger,
I
and
had
then
seen
it
that you
turned.
posted something on your story. I was like,
Oh,
uh-oh.
yeah. Yeah, and I was still working at the time too. That was part of the problem. So, it was just one of those things, heard something at work, things didn't go a certain way that I thought it was gonna go.
Uh-huh.
And I kinda knew it was coming, but I guess I wasn't prepared to hear what I heard.
Yeah.
So it started with anger, and then ended up driving to the gym, and then started getting in my head about, okay, my own worth in a sense.
Mhm.
So and then continued working because, of course, I take my laptop to the gym until it's hard for me to train. And then, I get a text from my wife say, "Hey, you have, 2 people here who love you. Don't worry about it." Something along those lines. And then it was just like, you know what? Yeah, you kind of need to snap out of this. Like,
Mhm.
because you're right. It's not fair to them. And they could see it like when I was in the house, it was all over my face. It was all in my demeanor. Like I was just irritated.
Mhm.
I didn't feel like being bothered, and any little thing could have bothered me. If I heard a snap when I wanted to hear something else, it would have bothered me.
Yeah.
Any little thing. So it was just like getting that message was like, all right, you're not work is over at this point. Like, let it go.
Mhm.
And then right then and there, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take a mental health day tomorrow. And I messaged my boss like, hey, I need a day tomorrow. I need to recruit.
Yeah.
So,
That's important.
and yeah, it is just like you said, like we need rest, and it has nothing to do with, the clients that I serve. Like I love serving my clients, whether it's personal training, whether it's my job, like I love doing that. But at the same time, like I ain't no good to nobody if I'm not good. So
Mhm.
that's just how it is. So
Yep.
you are preaching to my soul today. I appreciate that. So I do want to touch on the subjectivity in the sport, because that is a touchy subject that I've been tackling and been talking about in previous episodes, as far as like we as bodybuilders, like we're doing all this work, like you're getting ready to put in countless hours of work again
Mhm.
to fly out to Texas, get on stage. I call it our 15 seconds of fame.
Yeah.
We do all these hours of work to get on stage,
Yeah.
smile, do your twist, your turn, your routine, all this stuff, all just to say you weren't good enough. You need to work on this. You need to go do that. So my question to you is, how do you deal with that as a competitor, to know like you gave it your all just to be criticized? Like what role does that play on your mental health?
Um, so I guess, like, going back into this past show, like I said, I went into it the best I've ever looked.
Mhm.
I put my all into this prep. That it was the hardest I've ever worked during a prep by far. Peak week alone, like I've never had a peak week like that, like the zero carbs and then the zero salt and literally like no water, just thirsty, dry mouth. Like I've never experienced a peak week like that,
Ooh-wee.
But that's what I wanted. That's what I craved. I was like, I want
Mhm.
to feel like I deserve to be called a bodybuilder. And this is what I
Mhm.
see all of these top bodybuilders going through. So going through all of that, it was tough, but I was kind of like in a mindset where I'm like, this is what I wanted. So I didn't mind putting in the work, and feeling that how terrible I felt. So then come show day, when I didn't get called for the overall,
Mhm.
it stung. It for sure stung. There was a moment where I was on stage and the girl who beat me, she was number 41. No, I was number 41. She was number 40. So,
Ugh, too
so
close.
we hear the number 4 coming out of the commentator, the judge's mouth. And then out of the corner of my eye, I see Jonas, my coach, just jump out of his seat and just hyped. And then they said 40 and they said the other girl's name and he just deflated. And I was just like, that's not me. What the heck just happened? Because we all thought that like I had it.
Right,
Uh, but like I also went into the show because everybody was like, oh, you're gonna take it, you're gonna take it. I'm like, you never know who's gonna show up. So I
right.
kind of prepared myself for that moment of like it stung, but I was like, you know what? She looked good. That's what the judges wanted. I can't be mad at it. I'm not gonna let this one little negative outcome
Mhm.
outweigh all of the positive that's been around me. So after the show, we talked to the head judge Patrick, and
Mhm.
the feedback that I got was one of my poses was off, which we knew it wasn't my strongest pose, and I need to continue to work on it. And then I was also told that I had too much mass.
Okay.
So it was kind of weird to hear, and it's hard because it's like when I tell people that they're like, "But isn't that what bodybuilding is? Like, shouldn't you like have a ton of muscle on you?" And I'm like, "Yes, but there's levels to it. It goes a little bit deeper than
Absolutely.
that."
Mhm.
So I mean, just hearing that it was weird, like I said, but then kind of reflecting on it, it was like, okay, so if I have too much mass, then what do I need to do to improve that going forward? And what it comes down to is when I hit my national show, really nailing that conditioning. So hearing that
Mhm.
it was like my posing and then kind of the too much mass, it was like the two things that Jonas and I had already talked about was my posing and conditioning. So getting that feedback, it wasn't like too much of a shock because that's what we already planned on working towards.
Okay.
But going back to putting in all that work and then kind of being like, oh, you weren't good enough.
Ugh.
I try not to think about it too much. I don't really see it that way
Okay. That's
because,
good.
I mean, with bodybuilding, you know what you're getting into. It's not like it's a secret. You're going on stage wearing like nothing. You're flexing and there's a judge panel in front of you judging how you look. Like it's no secret that that's what bodybuilding is.
Right.
So I can't get mad if I'm not what the judges wanted that day. If somebody showed up looking better than me or more fits the criteria better, like, yeah, it stings, but I'm not going to sit there and dwell on it. When I first started bodybuilding, my first ever wellness show, it was during COVID actually. And the girl who beat me, I way more muscle than her, but she was a lot tighter than I was. And they gave it
Mhm.
to her. And I was so mad and I was just complaining. And I was kind of talking down on the girl and thinking back
Mhm.
on that, it was 2020, so 3 years ago. It's embarrassing to see how I acted and how I responded to it, but it also kinda, like, just goes to show the growth that I've had mentally as well, and when it comes to the
Mhm.
sport, because this last show, I could have easily been mad and said, "Oh, I should have won the overall. I deserved it more than her," but everybody works just as hard to get to that stage. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter the work that I put in. I don't know what they were doing. They could have had a way harder prep than I did, even if mine was super, super hard. So who am I to judge? It's not their fault that that's what the judges wanted that day,
Right.
So I mean, I can't really get mad at it. All I can do is just continue to improve, and if I want to turn pro, then I'm not going to sit there and dwell on it, because what's done is done. I just have to listen to what the judges want and continue to bring my best every single time and work towards that every single show.
There you go. And it really sounds like, just based off what you just said, there's been an elevated level of, maturity. Because
Hmm.
myself, it was like, what, he won? How? Like, yeah, I think it was 3 shows in a row. Like, I placed third. It was my second, third, and fourth show. And I
Hmm.
was getting so irritated
It
because I was
sucks.
doing them back to back to back. Like, dude, third again. Okay, what is going on? And then I'm starting to look at the people who's winning, like, okay, nah, he's way too big. How are you picking him? Or
Hmm.
really, my condition. He's like, all these excuses, whatever. Like, at the end of the day, and what it is like, you put in all this work to exceed your expectations. You have your own expectations in your head,
Hmm.
and you want to win.
Yep.
You want to win. And then I think my level of maturity has come, like, look, there's only going to be one winner. If it's you, that was your day. If it's not, get back to work.
Yep.
And
That's all there is to it.
that's all there is to it. But oh, poor Jonas jumping. Oh,
Oh
Jesus.
man, it's like burned in my brain, because he was so hyped. He jumped up and he literally just was like, his whole face just deflated. And actually, Adam started recording, because everybody was recording, because everybody thought it was gonna be me. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
kidding. So everybody had their phones out,
Uh,
and the video that Adam has before it cuts off, when he realizes that they didn't call me,
right.
you can see Jonas in the corner just jump up, and he, like, his girlfriend Nicole sitting next to him. He was so hyped, he like knocked Nicole's phone, and and then you could just see him just deflate. And so it
Oh
was just like,
man.
yeah, it was definitely not what we were expecting. But I mean, the girl who won, she looked great. She was really, really nice. So I mean, I'm not gonna sit there and talk down on her and be mad at her. It's not her fault. It's just she was more so what the judges were looking for that day. It
Yeah.
stings. It sucks. But what am I gonna do? Sit there and
Yeah.
just dwell on it. It's just back to the drawing board. So
Right. But you did switch coaches, and
mhm.
you're now under Mr. Jonas. Tell me a little bit about how he has helped you kind of transform into, who you are and how you think about the sport today.
I mean, having him as a coach, it's really cool, because he's still active and competing.
Mm-hmm.
He's very, very knowledgeable in the sport, and you can tell that he genuinely loves it, and he genuinely cares about his athletes. When I first started with him, I was already in the middle of a prep, and I had
Mm-hmm.
wanted to compete for USA's in July. So I told him my plan, and he decided to take me on. And then first thing first with him was getting my gut health and just making sure my blood work and all that was good. So he had me start on a ton of different supplements that I had never even like heard of and never taken before.
Mm-hmm.
Full list. Then he made me do a full blood panel. And once we got all the results back from that, everything was good. It was probably around June. I want to say it was supposed to be about like 8 weeks out. And I remember telling Adam, I was like, I don't feel like I should look 8 weeks out, because I know how Jonas does things, and he's not going to put somebody on stage just to put them on stage.
Right.
And looking at his athletes that he'd already had, I was like, I don't feel like I look 8 weeks out. And then I'm not kidding, like 2 days later, he sends me a voice message he was replying to my check-ins, and he was just like, "Hey, Haylee, I just wanted to let you know where I'm at. I'm thinking that we should push back the show. We just got your body in a really, really good, healthy state, and I don't want to push you too hard and have your body potentially fight back." And it sucked, because I kind of had my heart set on USA's.
Mm-hmm.
So initially, I was a little upset, but then the more I thought about it, and then Adam too, it was just like, no, it's a good thing. Like, he wants to take his time with me and my physique and make sure that my health is first. and he knows that I have more to give and a better physique to offer if I have more time. So technically, I could have been ready for USA's, but he put my health first, and
Mm,
I think that's very, very important in a coach because it's easy for these coaches nowadays just be like, "Oh yeah, I'll get you on stage," and then they rush it, and then all these girls end up having all of these health issues.
mhm.
So Jonas put, and he continues to always put my health first, and I don't know, it's awesome having him as a coach. He's done a lot for me already in the time that I've been with him. I've already learned a lot from him, and everything he has me do, he gives me a reason why. He tells me exactly why he's having me do what he's telling me to do, and I appreciate that because I feel like a lot of these coaches are just like, "Oh, do this," but they don't really give you a reason why. So you're doing all these things, and you're not really learning, and you're not understanding why you're doing these things.
Right.
Jonas always has a reasoning. For example, like he knows I eat avocado all the time. He cut out avocado in my prep because he said it's high in histamine and it can cause inflammation. So just those little details,
Hey.
those matter, you know. So I mean, things that I had never even thought of, you know, because I'm thinking avocado, like it's healthy fats, but I had no idea that it was high in histamine and it could cause inflammation. So
You just
when
taught
you're
me something today.
yes, he's like when you're trying to get to that elite level of a physique and that
Man.
conditioning, those little things matter. And
Right.
Jonas knows all of those little things. It may be excessive to some people, but if cutting out avocado is gonna make me just even 1% better, why
That
not
matter.
do it, you know? And it matters in this sport, that just that 1% better, it matters. So I'm really happy with the decision to have Jonas as my coach, and I trust him completely. And he's like I said, he's done a lot for me in just going on 6 months with him. So it was a really good decision.
That's what's up, man. So, yeah, we ain't gonna talk about what I said when you made the decision, but yeah, but and I'm happy that you're in a good spot. Shout out to Jonas. Shout out to avocados because I know for sure they will not be in my prep when I'm cutting. I'll tell you that right now. Do not
Yeah, that
add
was
the inflammatory green things in my diet no
well, that
more,
was rough.
coach.
He said, "No
Uh,
more avocado," and I was like, "What?"
hey, that's why I did not know that. That's crazy,
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
man. But all right, three quick hitters.
Yeah.
So, some advice that you can give to those who will be listening to your episode, all the millions of followers that you have. What is something that you could tell them that to those who want to just finally do a first show? What is some advice you can give to them?
To just enjoy it. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Your first show is something that you're never gonna get back, and it's a really cool experience. I remember doing my first show, stepping on stage for the first time. I blacked out, but I just know
Mm.
that, like, even though I blacked out because I stepped off stage, I was like, "What did I just do?" But
Right.
I just the sense of joy that I had from it, my
Hmm.
first show, I didn't have any pressure on myself. I was doing it just because it was a goal of mine. You know, I enjoy
Right.
working out and I said, "Okay, I'm gonna step on stage." I did my first show and I had so much fun. And I feel like a lot of people when they're doing their first shows and they already have all that immense pressure on them, save that. You know, you're never gonna get your first show back. Do your first show, enjoy it, and then if you know that this is what you wanna continue doing, then take it a little bit more seriously and be more present in those that the serious aspect of it, but just have fun with it, you know, enjoy the experience, work hard, and just soak it all in.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting because like, I can remember I was lost like a deer in the headlights, but I
Yeah.
remember, like, everything, and it's funny because the deeper you get into it, you lose um, that innocence.
Yeah,
Like, you
exactly.
lose that because now it's like, "Oh, Olympia, oh, pro card, like, oh,
Mhm.
I gotta" you got all these attachments that come with it, and your first show is just like, dude, I'm in the best shape of my life. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah,
That's exactly
usually.
how I felt. It was so exciting. I'd never done anything like that before, and it was just so much fun. And
uh,
then I just from then on out, it was just like as soon as I stepped off stage, I was like, "Okay, this is what I wanna do," and then it became
mhm,
a lot more serious. So going
there
into
you go.
shows, like, shows, it's fun, but I'm not competing for fun anymore. I'm competing because it's a goal, you know? So, I mean business when I compete now, so it's you never get that first show back, so I always tell people just enjoy it and have fun with it.
All right. Yeah, we got to get back to that
Yeah.
that level of naive that you said,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
guess. So when you do turn pro, do you have a show circle like, all right, this is a show I want to do, this is a show I want to win? Which show is that?
Honestly, I don't have any picked out. I feel like because I'm such an overthinker and I stress myself out so easily, I have to
Okay.
take things like one goal at a time.
Got you.
So even this past show, I have all these things going on. I have to move and I have to still run a business and have all these things going on. But I was like, I can
Mhm.
only focus on the show. Once the show is over with, then I'll focus on everything else.
Got
So,
you.
yeah, I mean, I don't have another a show picked out. Now all I'm set on is December 8th, Texas Nationals. So that's all I have in mind. And then once I accomplish that goal and I come home with my pro card, then it's time to start researching pro shows. But
Got you.
yeah.
I and that's smart. Like, I'm an overthinker too. It's you talk about lists. Every time a show come out, like, oh yeah, let's mark this down, see if
Yeah.
it fit in my schedule. I got like 10 shows marked down, knowing I'm only doing about 4 or 5. I
Yeah.
did say that. Next year I do want to get into a space where my face is shown more, and I know my body gets better the more shows I do. I think
Uh-huh.
5 is my cap, and I think I would be good doing about 4 or 5. That first one is kinda, "All right, let's get the rest off a little bit," and the conditioning to get better as I keep going. They will need to be close together, so I'll be in probably like a 5 shows within a 2-month span, so we'll see how
Mhm.
that goes. But yeah, we'll see. And then my last question would be, to further along this dialogue as far as with mental health and the sport, and to discuss what it is that we go through as bodybuilders, is there any pros that you would like to see grace this podcast? If so, who would it be? One or two? Mm,
Mm, like any pro,
it can be anybody. Mm.
I'm probably gonna botch her name because she's Brazilian, but
Okay, so we not botching nobody's name. So what you gonna do is send it to me. That's what
okay, okay, Imma send
right.
it to you.
I done saved like 6 people on this show for trying to botch names. Don't worry about it. I ain't gonna put you out there like
Alright, I
that.
appreciate it 'cause I said
So,
her name wrong once, I think, already,
let's see. Nope.
so I can't pronounce it, you know, I don't know how it's pronounced.
Well, whoever you are,
Oh,
Haley's.
I have one,
Oh, you got.
Crystal Hayes.
Okay.
You know
All
who
right,
who's
Miss
Emma
Crystal.
Hayes on Instagram.
All right.
She's she's awesome. She's a really cool person, and
Yeah.
I've had the pleasure of meeting her once or twice. I think once at a
Okay.
dark sport event, and she's a genuine person. She's a wellness pro. She's
Oh,
super
that's what's
super
up.
cool. Yeah,
Okay. All right. Haley gonna send me your profile, and whoever you are, Miss Brazilian, Haley gonna send me the other one too. But Miss Haley, thank you so much, man. It was dope having an actual intellectual conversation with you
I appreciate
and
it.
getting to hear some of the things that you actually go through. Because again, I wouldn't have known probably half of this stuff, even though like we work in close quarters at
Hmm.
the gym. But it was dope to have you in this space and be vulnerable. So I appreciate you for that.
I appreciate you for having me on. Really, I was really excited to do this. So, Thank you. Really excited to kind of open up a little bit more and let people know. Like you
Yes,
said at the beginning, I'm human too. So,
absolutely, and that's okay. But yeah, we'll see y'all on the next one.
yes,
Peace.
sir. See ya.
All right.